All right, folks, we welcome you to hour number two. Let me talk a little bit about loopholes for the rich. Loopholes for the rich. We all despise them, right? President Obama describes them as being worthy of being despised. You know, these loopholes for private jet owners and for oil magnates and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Rich people, millionaires with these loopholes. We all take advantage of loopholes. Do you know what they're known as? You know what they really are? They are deductions. Deductions. Mortgage interest, charitable donations, child tax credit, all these things, whatever. They're deductions. Yes, if you have a private jet, and I don't know, I don't have one. If there's a deduction for that, that's a deduction. What the president chooses to do is make some people evil based on the deductions, legal deductions that they actually take. Now, I bring this up because we have the president's tax numbers for 2013 and the vice president's tax numbers for 2013. Now, remember a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, the president and the first lady took advantage of one of those loopholes, and they gifted their children the maximum amount. Each parent gifted each daughter the maximum amount without them having to report it as income, the kids, and pay any taxes on it. That's a big loophole or deduction or just part of the tax code. But the president would have you think that anybody who takes a loophole or deduction is evil. I guess only if they're rich, like the president. The president reported a adjusted gross income of $481,000. I guess no more income from that book, huh? Or both books. The Obamas paid $98,169 in total tax, and they gave 12% of their salary, or 12.3% of their adjusted gross income, to 32 different charities. Now, but here's the deal. The president's effective federal income tax rate is 20.4%. If the president decided not to take advantage of any loopholes or take deductions, as they're known, then the president would have paid a much higher federal tax rate. Joe Biden, the same thing. Joe Biden and his wife filed separately, but they paid. They're together. Their reported gross was $407,000. They contributed about 12% to charity as well. They paid 23%. But just understand that the President of the United States would not be paying 20.4% unless he took advantage of some of those evil loopholes that he speaks out against so regularly. They're known as deductions. They're perfectly legal. So making some people who take deductions into villains by saying they're millionaires and they take loopholes is just another way of dividing one American from the other and pitting us one against the other, which the president is so good at. So there's a little education on loopholes, which are really deductions. So keep that in mind going forward. Joining us now, I'm always so thrilled to say this, is the great economist and columnist, Professor Walter E. Williams. You read him at walterewilliams.com. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Great to talk to you again. Great piece. But by the way, I don't know how you feel about that, but you write about equality and on race and sex, which we'll get to in a minute. But it always struck me, these private jet owners have these loopholes, and this one has a loophole. It's always a loophole, I guess, unless you claim that deduction, then it's just a deduction, right?
Everybody should have a loophole.
And plenty of them, I guess. Plenty of them. All right, you brilliant column and such great points. And you write about sex and race equality, and you talk about the fact that you've seen it all, and you remember the days when there were fountains in restaurants for whites only, et cetera. And now you talk about, for instance, our prison system. And
that's right. And I was pointing out that anybody's seen, and I'm doing it kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
That anybody who's seen Lockdown on television, there's a prison movie, and it talks about it shows the California prisons such as Pelican Bay and Corcoran and San Quentin, and the prisoners are housed by race. That is, blacks are in one group, and then Hispanics another group, and and whites another group, and we would never tolerate this anywhere else.
Right, right.
But however, and maybe I sympathize why they do it. It helps maintain a little peace because there's huge racial problems in prison.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, people, they tolerate that. And so, if you criticize racial segregation in one area, why tolerate it in another?
No, absolutely. And you point to so many different aspects of all of this. And my favorite one is how Jews are 39% of the Nobel laureates.
Yeah, right. That is, Jews are only, see a whole lot of people, and why I wrote the column, because a whole lot of people say, well, unless, they'll say, for example, blacks are 13% of the population, but less than 1% of the CEOs.
Right, so you got to make them 13% to make it fair.
That's right, and they say, if people are not represented proportionally by their numbers in society in some particular activity, there must be racism, and there must be affirmative action, there must be quotas, et cetera, et cetera. So the point is that I'm giving many examples. I give many others that disproportionality is the rule of the game. That is, there's no evidence anywhere in the world that people are distributed among activities according to the numbers in the population. And this is one of the reasons I gave about Jews. Jewish Americans are 3% of the United States population, but they take 39% of the Nobel Prizes.
and so you write that can mean only one thing: they're taking the rightful Nobel laureates of other racial groups.
Yeah, right. They're taking the Irish and the Polish and black and Indian Nobel Prizes if we follow the silly rhetoric of the left.
Right.
That's what it would imply. And then also I point out, well, blacks are 13% of the population, but are nearly 80% of professional basketball players.
The NBA.
and they're the highest paid ones.
Yeah,
And then, matter of fact, blacks are not only taking their unfair share of basketball players, 66% of NFL players are black. As a matter of fact, when I watch football, when I watch professional football, and they show the pictures of the players, I cheer when they show a white guy's picture.
We're talking to Walter E. Williams here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and you also bring up the sex segregation, and you talk about allowing more women into combat. Here's the thing, it is a great. You make all the great points in this piece, and you do it in a humorous way. But the sad reality is, look at New York City, where the fire department was just hit with $100 million settlement, or probably more than that, involving a handful of blacks who took the fire test, and because those tests were deemed to be racist or biased against blacks. I don't know how that could be in a fireman's test, but nonetheless, they keep saying that New York City's black population is X amount, and there's only 5% of the fire force is black. And I say, well, then maybe blacks don't want to be firemen.
Yeah, right.
I mean, what the heck?
But years ago, I think they had a sex discrimination suit, and one of the requirements to be a fireman, you had to carry down a ladder a 150-pound bag, and so our sweethearts had some problems with that.
I love that.
So they eliminated that aspect from the test. So if you are 100 or 150 or 175-pound man in a building on fire, you better hope that they don't send a woman up there for you.
That's the whole thing. And of course, you write about this in your piece too, how they're dumbing down the standards and the requirements in the military for combat to pass the requirements for combat, because women can't do the chin-ups or the pull-ups.
That's right, and they can't run as fast. And then one of the things I did not put in there is, and these are official Army statistics, that is, that very few women can carry a combat sack on their back that weighs maybe 70 pounds and pull a 150-pound comrade into safety. If he's shot and he can't, and he's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, you just can't drop your bag and your weapon. You have to use one hand to pull him away, and the women cannot do that.
We are a very sick society right now, Walter, and this Mozilla incident where the CEO of Mozilla was forced to resign, and now they're going after Condoleezza Rice, and She just signed onto the board of a Dropbox, which is an internet cloud company. And now there's this whole internet the activists are looking for a boycott of Dropbox in an effort to get her removed from that board. It's really, really out of hand.
The companies or presidents of universities that succumb to this kind of pressure, they're hoping that they'll look better in the eyes of these leftists, these radicals. But these radicals, and they're going to hate them just as much, and they're going to try to undo them. And so it's really a kind of stupid cowardice demonstrated by these people, where they will not stand up to this kind of nonsense.
Yeah, and of course, the majority of people in this country, if they knew about it and had time to organize in any way, I think that they would scare the heck out of these companies and have them reverse.
That's right. But see, people with common sense, people who are decent, people who are free market or for liberty, they're busy taking care of their lives.
Right.
I mean, they don't have time. They don't know about all these things that you and I know about, and so they just kind of go along with the program. They find out that there's some kind of nonsense. They say, "Well, when did that happen?"
Yeah, no, you're.
We didn't know anything
right
about that.
Yeah, we got to organize somehow. Now, Kathleen Sebelius, she's toast, as they say. But hey, 7.5 million now we hear have signed up. Of course, not 20% of them haven't paid. And Rand Corporation will tell you the truth about those numbers. And we know that 6 million people lost their health care last year because of Obamacare. So we did all this and ruined everybody's life for 1 million people.
Yeah, and then they were talking about Obamacare was to get the uninsured insured, and they were supposed to, the numbers that you were saying was like 40 million Americans uninsured.
Right. Yeah. Well, where are they?
That's right.
They're still uninsured. I mean, is she the fall girl here? You know what? I don't know if you know that she lost her play. When she was reading her farewell speech today in the Rose Garden, she said, "Oh, there appears to be a page missing." I mean, she couldn't even ad-lib over that, you know, and how appropriate that there was a page missing from her going away speech after the debacle.
Get Obama to talk without the teleprompter.
It really doesn't happen that much, I guess. Walter, always great to talk to you, sir, and we'll check you out at walterewilliams.com, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Okay, we'll talk to you, Steve.
Thank you. Professor Walter E. Williams, great economist. And I used to love when he would fill in for Rush. I don't know if he still does it because, quite frankly, I'm here, and I don't get to listen to Rush anymore. But yeah, I mean, going after Condoleezza Rice. This is how sick they are. You know, all this war on women. What they should say is it's a war on. You know, they only care about liberal, progressive women. They should say, let the Republicans have a war on conservative women. They don't care. Because women to them have to be in a mold, stereotyped, and have to fit it. Blacks to them have to act like blacks. Hispanics have to act like Hispanics. And right on down the line, otherwise they don't count to progressives in these left-wing groups. They don't want them. They don't care about them. They have no use for them. To go after Condoleezza Rice, the most successful, politically speaking, black woman in this country's history, probably. We're coming back. Steve Malzberg Show. Don't you go away.